origin of the Hound of the Baskervilles, there have been many statements. Yet as I come in a direct line from Hugo Baskerville, and as I have the story from my own father, who also had it from his, I have set it down with all belief that it occurred even as is here set forth.
He's still not back, Lady Agatha. No sign of him from the upstairs windows either.
You shouldn't have let him go, Perkins.
It's not my place to stop Sir Henry if he wants to go out.
But he doesn't know the moor as we do. You know how treacherous it can be.
Indeed I do, ma'am. Only yesterday they were throwing him under the mud and put him in mire.
A false step there's sure death.
Anyhow, Barrymore's going to fetch it back.
Good. I'm expecting a Dr. Watson and a Mr. Holmes shortly. Please show them in the moment they arrive.
I will, ma'am. Will you be wanting tea?
Yes, for 4. Sir Henry will be joining us, I trust.
Oh, there you are, Lady Agatha. Not late, am I?
You'll never know how thankful I am to see you, Watson. Where's Mr. Holmes?
Oh, he'll be along shortly.
Won't you have a seat? I've arranged for tea.
I hope you'll forgive me, but you do seem a bit distraught. It's not like you at all. There's one thing I will always remember about our days we worked together at the hospital. Nerves of steel. That disposition to match.
Thank you, Watson. I appreciate that. To tell the truth, I have been on edge. Desperate, some might say.
Desperate?
Oh, when I heard that you and Mr. Holmes were on holiday nearby, I wasted no time getting in touch.
Not exactly a holiday. Holmes has always been fascinated about the grim charm of this locale. Especially the traces of the prehistoric people who lived here.
You mean the stone huts dotting the moor? They do give the place the feel of another time.
Downright creepy, if you ask me.
I wouldn't be at all surprised to see a skin-clad, hairy man come crawling out of one of those huts.
Doing what, may I ask?
Oh, fitting his flint-tipped arrow to the string of his bow.
Oh, I'm not taken to such flights of fancy. Imagination is more along Holmes' line.
I'm looking forward to meeting him.
And so you shall, Lady Agatha.
It's a very great pleasure, Mr. Holmes.
Kind of you to say so. I trust you enjoyed your walk around the excavations at Grimpen Mire. The south section, I believe.
How do you know I've been there?
Well, your walking stick, you left it outside. The tip is coated with a reddish clay that is only found in that area.
You live up to your reputation.
Judging from the consistency of the clay, I'd say you were there within the last 3 hours.
Bravo.
I would be cautious to take your schnauzer there. They have a tendency to move impulsively. A miniature, I should imagine.
How do you know I even have a dog?
Teeth marks on the walking stick. The dog is obviously in the habit of carrying it from time to time. The jaw, as indicated by the space between the marks, is not large. That and this small puff of silver grey dog fur leads me to surmise a miniature schnauzer.
You are an automaton, Holmes, a calculating genius. There's something positively inhuman about you at times.
You might take my breath away, Mr. Holmes.
Elementary.
Just a moment, I'll have tea for you.
You said you needed our help.
I do.
Does your request in some way concern itself with the recent demise of Sir Charles Baskerville?
It does.
Well, none of the papers said it was a heart attack.
An elderly gentleman, if I recall correctly.
Over 80.
You suspect foul play.
What makes you say that?
You would hardly have called upon our services if the situation were not grave.
I've always considered myself a rational woman. Watson can vouch for that.
Oh, absolutely.
I've never taken the occult seriously.
The occult?
Perhaps this will help.
Early 18th century, unless it's a forgery.
There's no forgery.
Well, what is it?
Well, I am not unfamiliar with the contents. It purports to describe the origin of the curse of the Baskervilles.
The curse?
Come, Watson, common knowledge.
Maybe common knowledge to you, Holmes, but not to me.
Well, the exact date is 1742. Sir Hugo Baskerville was a villain, a coarse man given to excesses of intemperance and rage. He came to love, if that word can be used with his salt, a village girl. He kidnapped her, kept her prisoner in his house, while night after night, he and his foul companions reveled below, probably in this very room.
He has much to answer for.
Well, one night, with the aid of the stout ivy outside a window, she made her escape.
Well, good for her.
There's more to it than that, Watson. Sir Hugo gave chase over the moor, his companions in drink riding at his heels. He outdistanced them. His companions found him on the moor by the two great stones.
You can see them from the windows. They
Oh.
mark the door of some long forgotten chapel.
I've seen them. Frightening things in the moonlight.
When they came on the spot, the village girl had expired, fallen dead from fear and fatigue.
Well, what of Sir Hugo?
He was by her side, also dead. But that's not what terrified the friends that found him.
What did?
Read it for yourself.
And plucking at his throat, there stood a foul thing, a great black beast shaped like a hound, yet larger than any other hound any more eye has ever rested upon. And even as they looked, the thing tore the throat out of Hugo Baskerville.
Many of the family have been unhappy in their deaths. Sudden, bloody, mysterious.
Oh, certainly you don't believe in this mumbo-jumbo.
Well, it's obvious that Baskerville who wrote the account did. I counsel you by way of caution to forbear from crossing the moor in those dark hours when the powers of evil are exalted.
Powers of evil indeed, Holmes, is a fairy tale.
Sir Charles believed in the curse.
As I recall, Sir Charles was in residence for only a few years.
That is correct. His business interests, mainly in South Africa, kept him away.
Well, who looked after Baskerville Hall?
The Barrymores, a married couple. He acts as butler. She is housekeeper.
Still in service here?
Oh, yes. It was Barrymore who discovered the body. It was Sir Charles' habit each night to take a walk before retiring.
But never onto the moor.
Never.
Oh, because of a city legend.
Watson, please. Do continue, Lady Agatha.
The night of his death, he went out as usual. Never returned.
No sign of violence on the body.
None.
At his age, he probably passed from cardiac exhaustion.
Exactly.
Well, who did the police autopsy?
I did.
And the coroner's jury, they accepted the medical evidence?
There was no reason not to.
Lady Agatha, it is not what you're saying that I find of interest, rather what you're not saying.
If you weren't a private investigator, Mr. Holmes, I would suspect you of being a psychic.
Why not come directly to the point?
I believe Sir Charles was frightened to death.
Proof?
Within the past few months, it became increasingly plain to me that his nervous system was strained to the breaking point.
Well, I asked for proof, facts.
The expression on his face was one of sheer terror.
Easily explained by a muscle spasm.
There was one false statement made by Barrymore at the inquest.
Oh?
He said there were no tracks on the ground round the body.
Now you said false statement.
Well, perhaps Barrymore did not see what I saw.
Which was?
My motive for withholding it from the coroner's inquiry is that a person of science shrinks from placing oneself in a position of seeming to endorse a popular superstition.
In other words, you did see footprints.
Yes, a distance off, but fresh and clear.
But why conceal the fact?
I have already explained my reason.
All right. The footprints, a man's or a woman's?
They were the footprints of a gigantic hound.
Beg pardon, Lady Agatha. It's Sir Henry. I saw him from upstairs. He's gotten across the moor now.
Thank heaven.
You're the housekeeper, I take it?
Yes, sir. Mrs. Barrymore.
How long have you been in service at Baskerville Hall?
It's quite all right, Mrs. Barrymore.
This is Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
I've been in service here most of my life.
Then you know them all.
I grew up on the moor, Mr. Holmes.
Mrs. Barrymore and her husband know more about Baskerville Hall than anyone in the county.
If you have no other questions, I'll see to my duty.
No other questions at this time. Remarkable woman. She reminds me of Amy Small, the noted axe murderess of Charing Cross.
Ah! I see you finally caught him in your net, Lady Agatha.
Sir Henry, you mustn't wander the countryside till you know more of the place.
Nonsense. I stuck to the past. The light was excellent, and I was visiting with Cat.
I sent Barrymore to go find you.
It's a pleasure for me, Mr. Holmes.
I'm not Holmes, John Watson, M.D., former colleague of Lady Agatha's.
You'll forgive me.
I take it from the timbre of your accent that you spent some time in America, Sir Henry?
The States of Canada. I had only recently returned. If it hadn't been for my uncle's death, I'd still be there.
Oh, certainly you don't believe this balderdash Lady Agatha's been spouting? Sorry, dear.
Watson's never been noted for an abundance of tact. Do you share Lady Agatha's doubts about your uncle's death?
I haven't made up my mind yet.
Show him the letter.
Letter?
This arrived one day at my hotel in London.
Or words cut from the London Times and gummed to the paper?
An old-fashioned gambler, eh, Holmes?
Well, arsenic is old-fashioned too, Watson, but it does the trick.
How do you know it's from the Times?
Well, Times print is entirely distinctive. These words could have been taken from nothing else. As you value your life or your reason, keep away from them all.
Nothing supernatural about that, dear.
It might have been sent by someone who was convinced that Sir Charles' death was unearthly.
Who?
Someone trying to frighten Sir Henry from Baskerville Hall. No envelope, no stamp.
I found it stuffed under the door of my room.
Do you intend to remain in residence, Sir Henry?
There's not a man alive or devil in hell is going to stop me from staying in my own home.
I take that as a final answer.
Absolutely.
Then you did well to seek me out, Lady Agatha. May I keep this?
Of course.
Was there anything found near the bottom?
The stub of Sir Charles' cigar. 2 stubs, actually, and a great deal of cigar ash.
Curious. No other claimant on the estate, I presume.
There were 3 brothers. Sir Charles was the eldest. The second died young.
That was my father.
And the third?
Roger Baskerville, a black sheep. He fled to South America and died there of tropical fever.
Supposing anything should happen to our young friend here, you'll forgive the unpleasant hypothesis. Who would then inherit?
Since Roger died unmarried, the estate would descend to James Desmond.
A distant cousin.
Is there any other con?
Watson, please.
He's an elderly clergyman in the village of Tracy Coombs.
Quite close, actually.
It's a short drive.
Who profited from Sir Charles' will?
Well, there were many insignificant sums to individuals, and a large number of charities.
He was a generous man.
Yes, yes.
The Barrymores each received £5,000.
He was a generous man.
Did they know they would receive this sum?
Oh, Sir Charles was fond of talking about the provisions of his will.
Unwise.
I do hope you won't suspect everyone who profited. After all, Sir Charles left me 10,000.
Sorry.
You will take the case, Mr. Holmes? You will take the case.
Out of the question.
But you must.
We're depending on you, Mr. Holmes.
I must be in Bristol sometime tomorrow, and then I must be in London for a few days.
If it's a question of money,
My professional charges are on a fixed scale. I do not vary them, except when I remit them altogether.
Surely, Holmes, you can let other matters wait.
You know my methods. I shall do my best to clear out my prior obligations as quickly as possible. In the meantime, I shall leave Watson here to look after you, Sir Henry.
Whatever you think is best.
Do follow his advice. I trust him implicitly. You will send along any communication of interest to me in London.
Oh, you can depend on it.
On one point, I must demand complete fidelity.
What is it?
Under no circumstances are you to venture onto the moor at night. I cannot impress the importance of this enough.
Then you do believe the legend?
You understand, Watson?
I do.
There is something in the air that disturbs me.
The air. What's in the air, Mr. Holmes?
The sense of murder, Sir Henry. Murder.
You wanted to see me, Dr. Watson?
Ah, there you are, Barrymore. Yes, I'm not exactly sure how to put this.
Sir?
I can't be for certain what I heard. But last night, close to midnight, did you hear the sound of a woman sobbing?
Oh, I did not.
Hmm.
Perhaps it was the wind. The wind racing across the moor can make all sorts of strange noises.
No, this sound was most definitely in the house, not out on the moor. Could it have been Mrs. Barrymore?
My wife and I shared the same room, sir. If she were crying, I would have known.
Perhaps it could have been Perkins.
Perkins seldom spends the night. She lives with the family down on the Grimpen-Meyer Road.
You're probably right. The wind racing across the moor.
I'll be going into the village later this afternoon, Doctor. Is there anything I might get for you?
No, thank you, Barrymore. I'll be going in myself.
Yes, sir.
Oh, one more thing, Barrymore.
Sir?
You've been in service here for quite some time.
My father was the caretaker. My family has looked after the hall for 4 generations.
Well, then you know the families who live on the moor.
Yeah, I do, sir.
Well, I can see by this map here, clearly we have the home of Lady Agatha and Baskerville Hall, marked very well. But who lives here, just north of the Great Rocks?
That would be the house of Dr. Franklin.
Franklin. An elderly man, collared, with a beard.
Now, you've met him then, Dr. Watson.
Bumped into him at the post office. Most disagreeable sort.
His passion is for the British law.
Sues people, they tell me.
He's spent a considerable fortune on litigation. Mr. Franklin fights for the mere pleasure of fighting. He's ready to take up either side of the question as long as he can have his day in court.
Oh, I know the sort. Who lives here in this cottage?
It'll be Mr. Stapleton and his sister.
Ah, Sir Henry's friend. What's she like?
Quite lively.
And her brother?
I've only met him once, out on the moor, chasing butterflies.
Butterflies?
Butterflies.
So what we have here close by are the homes of the Stapletons, Lady Agatha and Mr. Franklin.
There are other cottages scattered about the moor, sir, but they're in bad repair, quite unlivable.
I hope you won't take this badly, Barrymore. Things are a bit backwards in this region.
Sir Charles was doing his best to rectify that situation, sir. That's why his death was such a loss.
Mr. Franklin, he lives alone?
He does now.
No family?
He has a daughter.
Where is she?
Oh, that would be Sir Henry.
I asked you about Mr. Franklin's daughter.
And Miss Stapleton is with him.
Never mind Miss Stapleton. Tell me about Mr. Franklin's daughter.
Her name was Laura.
Why make it such a mystery?
Never mind the flowers. I want a bit of lunch.
Well, it looks as if someone's been enjoying themselves.
Kathy took me on a tour of the old huts. The Moors also run the low mining shafts, too. I didn't know that. What is it, Barrymore?
Wonder if I might have a word with you, Sir Henry?
Certainly. What is it?
Oh, I'll go introduce myself to your young friend.
We won't be long. Well,
My wife and I, Sir Henry, will be glad to stay with you until you have made fresh arrangements.
what is that supposed to mean?
Well, sir, under the new circumstances, you'll be requiring changes in your household.
I wish I understood what you're driving at. What new circumstances?
It's just that Sir Charles led a retired life, and we were able to look after his wants. You would naturally have more company, and would therefore require changes in your household.
I'm quite comfortable with you and your wife. Isn't Perkins of some help?
She's a village girl, sir, not terribly bright, not accustomed to service. So few are these days.
So what you're really saying is that you and your wife wish to leave.
Only when it is convenient for you, sir.
This is bad news. I'm sorry to begin my new life here by breaking an old family connection.
My wife and I were both attached to Sir Charles. His death gave us quite a blow.
And then give me a sense of security, Barrymore.
No, sir, but we're afraid we'll never be easy in our minds again at Baskerville Hall.
What do you intend to do?
My wife and I intend to set ourselves up in some business. Sir Charles' generosity has given us the means to do so.
I'm going to try to talk about it. We'll talk about this later.
Yes, sir.
Is it safe?
Barrymore's left, if that's what you mean.
Come along, Doctor. The coast is clear. We ought to put these in water.
I'll ring for Perkins.
Well, they don't last long. It's a pity.
Yes, it is. The Moor needs cover.
Are they lovely, Doctor?
Oh, they are when you open them.
Did you hear that, Henry? The doctor knows how to dispense compliments as well as pills.
What was all that mystery with them?
The Barrymores want to leave.
What?
That's what he tells me.
Oh, I thought the Barrymores came with the wallpaper.
So did I.
That will present a problem. The villagers don't like to work on the moor.
I can hardly blame them. I'm for one very grateful that Baskerville has modern plumbing. But I'd feel much more at home if it only had a telephone.
There are no phones on the moor, only the village.
But sense of isolation doesn't bother you?
Nothing bothers Kathy.
Oh, that's not true. Especially when the mist is thick. It frightens me.
Well, I find the moor a rather odd place to find such a lovely creature.
I quite agree.
I can't help but wonder why such a vital young woman would want to tuck herself away in this corner of England.
It wasn't exactly by choice. My brother and I had a school in the North Country. I'm afraid the fates were against us.
How so?
A serious epidemic broke out in school, and two of the lads never recovered.
Bad luck indeed.
Our capital was used up, and poor Jack was devastated. Oh, he's yet to recover. Still, the moor is perfect for him. Oh, he has an avid interest in botany and zoology. He keeps his mind occupied, and expenses are minimal. We have our books and our studies and interesting neighbors.
Perkins, will you put these in water?
Oh, just a vase. I'd like to arrange them myself. Yes, miss. Speak to you again, Doctor.
What?
Hound.
We'll talk later, Perkins. Go along.
Yes, sir.
Wait!